everybody, and welcome to, this is the October Money Jam Session. I am so excited to have you here and to be here with you today. So I'm a musician, and this is how this jam session got its name. I'm a musician, and in music, a jam session is an informal gathering of musicians playing together. So this is a money jam session because this is an informal gathering of people who want to talk about money, talking about money together. So there you go. So that's the vibe that we're going for here. This is very relaxed. I'm going to teach a little to give us some structure, kind of like we'll get our chord progressions set up. So I'm going to teach a little to give some structure, and then you're going to have a coaching bonanza where you can ask me anything that is on your mind, or even ask each other anything that's on your mind, and we will jam. So I am Rebecca Eve Selko, and I am on a mission to empower all women to be confident and in control of their money. And I am also the author of Dominate Your Debt, a work and playbook, and the creator of the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp and Rock Your Money private coaching programs. And I created these jam sessions, which I love, as you can probably tell, to give women structure and a safe space to talk about money and get support about whatever money issues you're dealing with right now. So again, the idea being that it's like a safe space. There's not really a lot of places that we can go, and not a lot of people that we can kind of turn to in our lives where it's like kind of cool and not taboo to talk about money. So I want to create that space for you. So that's what this jam session is. And I consider it a blessing to be able to do this work, and a true honor that y'all are here with me today. We do these monthly, so you can always get the recording and hear about the next one at RebeccaEve.com/Let's Jam, LETSJAM, and also by joining the Facebook group, the Rock Your Money Rockstars. If you search for Rock Your Money Rockstars, it should come up on Facebook. If you join that group, you're always going to get you'll be among the first to know about the jam sessions and other cool things that are coming up. So RebeccaEve.com/Let's Jam, I can't even speak, and also by joining our Facebook group. Okay, so today's topic, the things that are going to help you be more confident and in control, are 3 things that no one bothered to tell you about debt that are majorly affecting your ability to dominate it. And this is not a judgment on you. It is really just the fact that your lender is not super excited about having you know this stuff, and most people don't know it because lenders aren't kind of in your face about it. And so not knowing it can be something that is unknowingly getting in your way of feeling confident in control of your debt. So we want to have you understand these things so that you can feel more confident and in control of your debt. When you think about money stuff, I always like to say money stuff is like a game. So you want to win the game of money in life, you have to know what the rules are. And so here are some rules that no one knew were affecting you. So there's a lot that we can say about debt. I picked these 3 things because they're kind of simple and quick, and we'll be able to kind of bang them out in a short amount of time. But there is a lot, not just these 3 things. There's a lot that can be getting in the way of dominating your debt and feeling in control of it. And so, in fact, we have a whole 6-week workshop, which is called the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, and we're actually starting that October 25th. So if you're listening to this recording and it's like way past October 25th, I'm sorry to tell you that it's probably already started and it's already going, but you should definitely be on the lookout for the next one. And we'll talk more about this at the end, but what we're going to try to do here is get us on the straight and the narrow with the 3 things that are sort of like hidden treasures about your debt. Okay, so we'll talk more about the boot camp in a little bit. Here are the 3 things, and I'll go through them quick, and then we'll break it down. So the 3 things that are, or 3 things, not the 3 things, 3 things that are getting in your way of being confident and in control of your debt and majorly affecting your ability to dominate it are, 1, how interest is actually being calculated on your debt. Very, very fuzzy and unclear, and deliberately so, I believe. 2, how your credit card minimum payment is actually applied to your credit card debt. Again, another thing that is sort of murky and not something that most of your lenders want you to really know, because why? It doesn't really help them if you know about it. And then thirdly, how your debt is actually affecting your credit score. There's just a couple of myths and kind of misunderstandings and misconceptions about this, so we're going to dispel those super quick. Okay, so first thing, how interest is actually calculated. So there's a lot, obviously, again, a lot we could say about this, but here's a quick and dirty version. Okay, so you probably know about the word, the kind of acronym APR, right, and what that stands for, annual percentage rate. Most people know that, and you'll be like, okay, my credit card has an APR of like 6% or 12% or 18%, et cetera, right? So what you don't know, because what they don't tell you, because why would they? Because APR sounds like an annual interest rate. It's how that interest is actually affecting your debt and how they're actually charging you. So this is an annualized amount. So when we talk about annual percentage rate, they've basically figured out what the daily rate is that they are, in fact, actually charging you, and they annualize it. So it's a lot more standardized and cleaner because the daily rate is like 0.0, blah, 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 whatever. They want it to look nice and clean, so they'll give you, oh, this is how much interest you're being charged, or this is the percentage that you're being charged annually. But you are actually, in fact, on a credit card being charged interest daily. Daily. So every single day that you carry a credit card balance, the interest meter is cha-ching, 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 clicking along. And not only is it being charged every day, but it's compounding, which means that every day the interest that you were charged today is added to your debt so that tomorrow you're charged interest on the interest and the debt. So that's what they mean by compounding. So it's computed on the interest. So in math class, which maybe we learned like way back in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade or something when we were doing algebra, we learned this concept in the context of a savings account, which is super awesome, except not really realistic, and one of the awesome things about math class that like has very little real world application, right? Am I right? So we learned this in the context of savings accounts, but we all know that's crap, right? Like you're getting like 0.0001%. So like when they're like, well, Johnny earns like blah, blah in compound interest, like who the F cares? Like doesn't matter, because what they should be teaching us is Johnny pays 18% APR in his credit card. How much is that actually costing him per day, or how much is it accruing or being compounded every day? With your debt, it really matters, because if you're talking 18%, that is a lot of interest every damn day. So you need to figure out, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to figure out how much interest your debt is actually costing you each day. Not just because this is incredibly motivating and it's probably going to make you feel like ass, and it probably will, sorry to say, but also because, once you get over the fact that it's going to make you feel like ass, this is a big key, a big key if you're trying to pay it off. Because you're kind of like swimming upstream, right? Like if every day like interest is raining down on you from, has nothing to do with swimming upstream. Hopefully you're not swimming in the rain. But if every day interest is raining down on you, kind of like pushing you down, you need to know how much so that you can figure out how to get around it and start paying off your debt and really making strides. So in the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, which I mentioned before, we figured this out actually to the penny before we start doing anything related to your payoff plan. Because if you're making a payoff plan or you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay off your debt without knowing how much interest is kind of trying to beat you down as you do it, then it's not going to work as effectively. Not to say that it can't be done, but it is going to be a billion times more effective if you actually know how much interest you're being charged. And without this, you can waste tons and tons of money too, BT dubs. And money is, as you probably know, the one resource you need more than anything else if you're trying to make a dent in your debt. Money. That's the thing that will defeat debt is money. Put money at it, throw money at it, and it will go away. So you need money. You need to know how much money you're actually paying to have the debt hang around before you can create a plan to pay it off. Okay, that's the first one. So how interest is actually calculated. That was a little preview. The second thing that can be majorly affecting your ability to dominate your debt is how your credit card minimum payment is actually calculated and applied, right? So this is something that really, like, I honestly had to, like, dig pretty deep to find it. So it was pretty, like, upsetting to me. And I was like, how is that calculated? I was like, what the hell? Like, it was actually not easy, and it's not even universally calculated. So this is super fun times, right? So here's the dealio. The only requirement for any of the credit cards is that they just have to include on your statement how long it's going to take you to pay off your balance based on the minimum payment. They don't necessarily tell you in the statement. They probably tell you somewhere, possibly in the fine print, possibly not even. It's possibly in like that booklet that you got when you applied for your credit card that you threw in the garbage because why, right? It's possibly in there. It probably is, honestly. It's probably in there. They're probably required to put it in there. But the only thing that they're required to put on your statement is just how much the minimum payment is and how long it will take you to pay off your balance based on that minimum payment. So like when they're like, okay, my balance is, $1,000 and my minimum payment is $25, like, or whatever it is, where are they getting that number? Well, now you're going to know, okay? So most credit card companies set your minimum balance or minimum payment one of two ways. We don't even know which way necessarily until you read all that fine print. But they're either going to give you 3 to 5% of the total of all principal, fees, and interest, and that could be your minimum payment. So like if the principal is $1,000, like the minimum, the 3% of that would be what, $3? Am I doing that right? Or is it $30? It's $30, right? 3% is $30 of $1,000 plus like they'll take the fees and the interest and add that on top of it, and that's how they get it. Or they could just do 1% of principal plus all fees and interest. So again, we don't know. Like I can't tell you like from credit card to credit card unless we look at the fine print and figure it out. But what this means, just kind of breaking it down, what this means is that when you're making your minimum payment on a credit card, like if you have $1,000 and you're making that $25, you're like, cool, like I'm keeping on top of my minimum payment, which is good. Like you definitely want to at least be paying that minimum payment. But that minimum payment of $25, $30, $50, whatever it is, could actually be only 1% of whatever your principal is, right? 1%. So if you get $1,000, that means you're paying, I really hope I'm doing this math right, it's not $1, it's $10. It could actually be $10 out of 1,000, and the rest of your minimum payment is all fees and interest. Right? So this is where like even knowing how much the interest is really important, knowing whatever fees you're being charged is really important, and definitely just knowing like which freaking like calculation they're even using to calculate your minimum payment. So yeah, it could be 1% of the principal, and all the rest is fees and interest. So that's for credit cards. Student loans, car loans, mortgages, all that's calculated a little bit differently because of something called amortization, which is a big long word I'm not going to get into today. That will either be a subject for a future jam session, or if you join the boot camp, that is something we'll talk about. But it's paid in monthly installments, right? So it's amortized and it's paid in monthly installments. So we'll talk more about that in the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, and we determine how to work with your minimum payments to create a payoff plan that is both very soundly informed and really that won't have you spinning your wheels, so that you're maximizing, really maximizing how far that money goes, right? Because money is the thing that will help you pay off your debt. So we want to maximize how far that money goes. So that's the second thing. That's how your credit card minimum payment is calculated and applied. And again, I know this is like a teaser. I'm like teasing you, like, oh, like it's just a little bit, but this is enough to kind of get, we want the juices flowing. Understand these things. You want to like bang out a plan, join the boot camp, or talk to me about other ways that we can make that happen for you, but we're getting a taste. And then the third thing, so we talked about how interest is calculated, how your credit card minimum payment is actually applied to your debt, and then finally we'll talk quickly about how debt is actually affecting your credit score, because this is something that drives me bananas that like people don't understand, and you need to understand this. Okay, so your credit score is based on how well you use credit. So that means that you can have a credit card and never pay interest on it ever and be showing that you know how to use credit responsibly, right? So as long as you pay the balance of your credit card sometime between, and that means the minimum payment, I shouldn't say that, as long as you pay the balance of your credit card sometime, so that's minimum payment, more all the way up to how much you owe, sometime between the end of your statement cycle and the due date, you do not pay interest and you improve your credit score. So as long as you pay the full balance sometime between the end of your statement cycle and the due date, you don't pay interest and you still improve your credit score. So I hear all the time, like, I need to carry a balance because credit card companies like to see that I'm carrying a balance and the credit bureaus like to see that I'm carrying a balance. No, they freaking don't. Like, they really don't care. Like, all they want to do is see that you are paying things on time. The way that it does affect your credit score, so paying interest does not give you a higher credit score. What does help your credit score is having a lot of credit cards, using it responsibly. Sorry, I'm misspeaking here. Having a debt and carrying a balance does not lower your credit score, but what they do look at and what can affect your credit score is utilization, right? So if you are carrying a lot of debt relative to the total amount of credit available to you, that is going to negatively affect your credit score. But you do not have to carry a balance on your credit card in order to be paying interest on it. You do not have to do that in order to improve your credit score. In fact, that can actually lower your credit score because you're having less, you have less of a credit available to you relative to the amount of credit that you're using, right? So that's your utilization. It could negatively affect it. It certainly does not help it to pay interest. So that was a quick one, and as I said, I'm not telling you any of this to scare you or to make you mad at me or any of that. This is the kind of stuff that we really get out of the way during the first part of the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, or if you have my book, this is the first chapter. It's educate. We just want to know the rules. We have to know the rules, because if you're going to create a plan to dominate your debt, to be in control of it, you have to know how it's working first. Otherwise, you just kind of get in there. You're I'm just going to do some stuff and hope that it works. We want to be clear. We want to maximize the amount of money that we have so that it gets put to work effectively towards paying off our debt. So doing all of that, it's basically like getting a dog. You need to know what it eats, etc., how often to walk it, if it needs newspapers or whatever. Otherwise, it's going to poop and pee all over your house. So you really want to know what's going on with how a dog functions before you just kind of bring one into your house and let her rip, right? Same with your debt. So there's a lot more stuff like this, and it's very interesting to know. It makes even more sense when you actually apply it. So I'll be very curious to know if you start kind of digging about this and see if you start doing some of the math yourself for your debt, see how it works. Always keep in mind that debt is not a fact of life. You just need to get ahead, and it's temporary. So when you have that, the thing that's going to defeat it is money and a plan. It's not going to go away on its own, and especially if you have limited resources, whatever they are limited somehow, right? They're finite in some way. You want to maximize them. So the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, which I mentioned I would talk more about, and then we're going to get to the fun coaching part. So the Dominate Your Debt Bootcamp, we start on October 25th, and this is going to be a group of women in a room. So if you're in New York City, you come and you hang out with us actually in a room. If you are not in New York City, you come hang out with us virtually by conference call while we're in the room, and we are all jamming together. For 6 weeks, we are working and playing together to create an educated, organized, implementable plan to pay off your debt that is authentic and realistic for you. So you're going to feel relaxed, you're going to feel good, you're going to feel confident, you're going to feel powerful in the face of your debt. You're going to know what questions to ask, how to ask them. There is no spinning of wheels. We are not about that. We are about getting shit done, and we're about doing it together so that it is a lot more fun and a lot more productive. So as you can probably tell, I love the boot camp. This is my baby. Dominate Your Debt is my favorite thing. So we're going to get it handled. If you're interested in that, go to RebeccaEve.com/bootcamp. So RebeccaEve.com, my website, /bootcamp to learn more and to apply. And when you apply, mention that you were in the jam session for a special promo, and we'll get you rocking, okay? So, this was the teaching portion of the jam session. We're going to move on to the coaching session. There's one more thing, that if you like this jam session, please share that you enjoyed it in the Facebook group, if you're in the Facebook group, or with friends on Facebook, social media, Instagram, however you feel or just tell a friend, I did this jam session. It was super badass. This is kind of a new thing. I really want to create a lot of awesomeness and community around it. So please share and come back for more, okay? So now, without further ado, it is time for coaching. So there are a bunch of you still here. Hi, I can see you. So what I'm going to do is hold up. I am going to look at the list of people who signed up for the jam session today. I should have had it pulled up, but I didn't. So I'm going to look at the list, and then I'm going to call on y'all in the order that you registered. If you'd like a coaching spotlight, you can take it. If you don't want one, you can pass. No pressure, no obligation. and we're going to go from there. So if you are listening to the recording, this is where we sign off. If you want more coaching, come to the next one or reach out to me if you can't make the jam sessions, and we will get that handled. Okay, so we're going to turn off the recording. Thank you all for being here. Those of you live on this call, don't hang up. Those of you who are listening to the recording, thank you for being here. Hope to see you in the next jam session.